Two things I'm sharing with you on this episode of the show. The first, how to get better at SEO keyword research, how to find keywords to target, how to better find keywords to target. I'm going to share a thread from the search engine optimization subreddit about this, lots of tips. Before I share that thread, I'm going to give my own advice, and then I'm going to go into the community advice from the SEO subreddit. And number two is it's another thread from the SEO subreddit. It's community members weighing in on, are there any real SEO shortcuts that work? The types of shortcuts that you might see in a place like Black Hat World. Are there real SEO shortcuts that work really, really well? And the search engine optimization subreddit is going to weigh in on that topic. That's what I got for you on this episode of the show. Let's get started. All right, so this is posted, how to get better at keyword research. Hi guys, I want to improve my skills in keyword research as the title suggests. My primary field is technical SEO as I have developer experience, and I feel like I'm making progress. However, I want to enhance my ability to identify target personas, relevant topics, and keywords related to a business. Edward Sturm's advice before we go into the community advice, this is my advice. First, see what your competitors are ranking for, and then look at the list of keywords that your competitors are ranking for and pick out what applies to you. You might have to be creative with this. In fact, you will have to be creative with this because usually there's a lot more keywords that are applicable to your business when you're looking at competitors than you might initially realize. But if you think about that keyword deeply, you'll be like, you know what, I could spin this keyword to totally be about my business and it would totally be relevant to my business. So look through competitor keywords, figure out which keywords apply to you. Then when you see what applies to you, look at the SERP, the search engine results page, and look for keywords that apply to you where when you're looking at the search engine results page, the keyword isn't in the page title of the other results. Or if the keyword is in the page title of other results, the other results suck, they're bad results, and you feel like you can create something a lot better, or the results are on low authority sites. You can look at something like domain authority or domain rating to figure that out. And so these are keywords that apply to you. Now you've found keywords that apply to you by looking at competitor businesses. These are keywords where you can target them better, have better authority, make a page that better satisfies search intent. And again, they apply to you. And you found that out just by looking at competitors' rankings. I teach a lot of this in my 13-hour SEO course, Compact Keywords, compactkeywords.com. Let's go to community insights. Top comment on this, something that has helped me, and this is a great tip too. I've made a lot of content about this. Once a page is getting traffic from Google, in the Google Search Console, look for the terms it is getting hits for that you didn't necessarily expect. This information specifically helps what you might want to add or edit on that page, but more generally will help you get an appreciation of what your audience is thinking about and how they phrase things, which you can help inform your keyword research going forward. Another thing is putting your high-level or basic keyword into various social media platforms and see how people talk about the topic and the related things they post about. So basically look at what your pages, the pages that are ranking, go to Google Search Console, see what keywords they are ranking for, and you will see keywords that you didn't expect, and you'll find new keywords that way. And actually, sometimes these keywords aren't very competitive. You don't need to create separate pages for these keywords. You can just add them to your existing page, add them somewhere near the top. Sometimes you might have to write a section for those keywords, but that is a great piece of advice. Another comment here, and this is from Bill Hartzer. Ooh, Bill Hartzer, who came on this podcast. That was episode 608 of this show. And it's kind of funny because the title of it is SEO Shortcuts from a 25-year veteran. Bill Hartzer does share a crazy local SEO shortcut. Episode 608 for Bill Hartzer on the podcast. Bill Hartzer says, if you have the basics of keyword research, then the next step is to learn entity SEO. Actually, what I recommend is that you use AI to help you develop several personas of potential customers as a start. And Bill Hartzer talks about entity SEO on episode 608 of the podcast, SEO Shortcuts from a 25-year veteran. I like the comments under Bill Hartzer's posts. Somebody said, hi, Bill. So by personas, you mean what would the audience typically be searching? So each audience bucket would have different keywords lists. Bill Hartzer said, no, that's not what I mean. Here's an example of a persona. I usually use AI to help me create personas. This example is completely made up and this person does not actually exist. Try using AI with this prompt. Write a full persona of a potential customer for a roofing company in Florida, including demographic and psychographic details, their specific roofing needs, and digital marketing strategies to reach them effectively. Here's another comment under Bill Hartzer's comment. This person said, no one is going to give you a good answer that would threaten their own business. No one wants to arm new competitors. I would say you should be constantly paying attention to market trends, emerging categories, etc. Look to fuse something that is trending with your domain expertise. My first few businesses were in music because that's where my domain expertise is. I met someone that was making $1.2 million in passive income a year off an app they built. Keep an open mind and constantly up your skills. Naturally, you will have more capabilities when you do this and will be capable of not only seeing more opportunities, but pursuing them. Use as much data as you can. I spend hundreds a month on tools. I use things like Ahrefs to look at SEO data. I subscribe to trends.co, $300 a year, the advault.co.uk, which is free, and a bunch more tools. I want to be on the edge. So if I see a wave that's forming or an economic change, I want to be ahead of the puck and already be building something that will fit the incoming market demand. For anyone reading, be agile and persistent. You can do it. Great comment. Here's another comment. One thing that really helped me with keyword research, especially for specific niches like tech, is to spend time in relevant forums and communities. And that is great advice. That is something that I have done a ton myself, especially doing marketing for new niches that I'm completely unfamiliar with. I go into forums and I go into communities and I try to learn the terminology and learn what people care about. And that is 100% something that you should be doing. The last comment from this thread, check Google Search Console and enhance on that. So it's basically a shortened version of the first comment. See what you are already ranking for. Work those keywords when relevant into your content. Now, SEO shortcuts. This is another thread. Are there any SEO shortcuts that even new SEOs can do and that have very low risks of getting a site or Google Search Console penalized? Because the truth is, everyone knows there are shortcuts in any niche, but do they work consistently? Or are they the types of things that if they don't work, and you get caught, you're going to get in a lot of trouble, and people do get caught. So that's what this person wants to know. Top comment. There are no shortcuts. There are simpler tasks, but if you are unsure of what you are doing, these could also negatively affect your site, though you are unlikely to get a penalty in Google Search Console. Next comment. Yeah, a few low-risk wins. Oh, here we go. Low-risk wins. Fix broken internal links, improve title tags based on actual Google Search Console queries, add internal links from high traffic pages, compress images for speed, make sure important pages are not buried. Simple stuff, but it adds up fast, especially for newer sites. Honestly, I could make an entire podcast episode based on that 1 5-second comment because it's so good. I really like improved title tags based on actual Google Search Console queries. Like I said before, take your keyword, put in your page title. It's so important that it goes there. And what this person is saying, look at Google, is what we were talking about before. Look at what Google Search Console is showing that you rank for. Take those keywords, put them in your page titles. That requires creating new pages, but for keywords that are more competitive, you'll want to do that anyway. Compress images for speed. Please use .webp. That's how it's pronounced, WEBP. I use those all the time on edwardsturm.com. They're so lightweight, they're amazing. And you can compress them for free. You just Google PNG to WEPI, and you can do it for free. Next comment. Oh, here we go. SEOs hate this simple hack. Get your CEO arrested. It provides immediate news and PR coverage, social conversation, engagement, and you'll get a ton of incoming links. And somebody said under this, for a while, one of my best performing pages was from a podcast interview I did, and the business owner was involved in a scandal a few years afterwards. Actually, in all seriousness, this is why linkable assets are so great. Things that are so cool, useful, or interesting that people can't help but link to them. And I've talked about linkable assets so much on the show. You create something that's really interesting, and it could be something that just takes you a day, and it's in your niche, and it gets a ton of links. There's so many different things that you can do. You can find other viral web apps, for example, or content marketing pieces, give it to ChatGPT, and ChatGPT will give you a lot of similar ideas. Somebody else in this thread said Google has spent a lot of money and effort to fix these shortcuts. They did a pretty good job over the last 2 decades, and nobody with a sane mind would be willing to share any shortcut, assuming it would still exist. Ooh, I'll share a shortcut. Bottom of funnel keywords. I mean, I talk about this all the time. It really is a shortcut because very few people target purchase intent keywords because they have the least amount of search volume, even though they are the most lucrative. They have the highest conversions. Most people want to go after the sexy keywords. The sexy keywords are informational. They don't bring conversions. Go after the keywords that bring conversions. I really believe that is a shortcut, and there are so many of them, and it's really easy to target them. I also think, like I said, linkable assets, that those are shortcuts. And when you're looking for these bottom of funnel keywords, you can find them by seeing what your competitors are ranking for. Another comment, the shortcut is no shortcut. Another comment, not just SEO, there is no shortcut in any work. Yes, there is something called smart work, and this smart work is very different from shortcuts. So work smartly and get the results in the long term. In the short term, you are not going to achieve any results. I don't know. I kind of know what this person is trying to say. And actually, I made a video about this. I saw Jay Penske speak. He started Penske Media Corporation, PMC, which is one of these 16 holding companies that gets, there's these six, it's studied by detail.com. 16 companies get the most clicks on Google, and Penske Media Corporation, all the properties in that, those make up the Penske Media Corporation. And he said, when I saw him speak, he said he's not trying to create these like short-term assets, these short-term wins. He's trying to create generational assets, and by doing that, then he gets short-term results. You know what? Actually, I'm going to throw in the video that I made of this that went kind of viral, and it's of him speaking. Here it is.
All of Google search is actually made up of only 16 holding companies. 16 companies own all the websites that get the most clicks. I saw the founder of one of these companies speak a few weeks ago.
Every day, 1 of 3 people hit one of his websites.
That's Jay Penske. He just bought the Golden Globes. He founded Penske Media Corporation, which owns all of these properties. 1 out of 3 people hit one of his websites every single day. Something that stood out when I saw him is how he thinks differently than everybody else. He has one of the craziest long-term mindsets that I've seen.
When you have a long trajectory, you really believe you want to own this business 25, 50 years from now, you're making decisions that are so much healthier for the near-term success of these brands.
He just said the best way to get near-term results is to have a long-term mindset. At a different part in the talk, he said he's trying to build
generational assets and transform businesses.
Now here's what's crazy. Yes, it's intense that his company is one of the 16 that gets most of the clicks from Google, but he founded Penske Media Corporation 19 years ago. Imagine what you could do sticking with something for 19 years.
2 more comments in this thread on SEO shortcuts. And it's another person. There are no shortcuts as such. However, there is smart work. You need to come up with a solid SEO strategy, incorporating both content and links to see results faster. For example, don't lose time producing content you'll never rank in a million years. Instead, try producing very niche down content that you can rank with a few links and a little bit of topical authority building. This is what we advise when working with clients in my link building service. That's what I was saying at the beginning of this. Find keywords that are not in the page titles of the SERPs for that keyword. And if they are, then the domain authorities are very low or the pages are bad, and you can create better pages. And it really feels like a shortcut when you do that. And the last comment, for long-term results, there are no shortcuts. Every site has a different approach, but the basics have never changed. Anyway, if you want to go deeper, I have a 13-hour SEO course, like I said. I very highly recommend it, compactkeywords.com. It's getting people insane results, amazing results, and that is all for episode 716. Episode 716 of The Edward Show. This is my daily digital marketing show. 716 days in a row doing this podcast. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for listening. Hope you enjoyed it. I will talk to you again tomorrow. Bye now.